The Nintendo Switch 2's games lineup seemingly is getting bigger and bigger every single day. Something new is talked about or dropped when it comes to what Nintendo will be doing with the Nintendo Switch 2 titles. So today we're going to be talking about another big game, possibly insane lineup of titles that Nintendo is going to have for the first year or so with the Nintendo Switch 2, mixed in with big first-party games like a brand new Mario Kart, maybe even 3D Mario and more, in addition to third-party games that have already been rumored like Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, and more. But let's go ahead and jump right into it here. Let's start off with this next game, and it's a game that was taking the world kind of by storm when it comes down to it, and that is Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. There is a brand new rumor that this game will be releasing on the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, this comes from somewhat reliable, but also gotten some things wrong, Xax, and I'm probably saying his name wrong, but anyway, EXTAS1. He's brought up that Bandai Namco's strong relationship with Nintendo, in which the two sides have collaborated on specific projects, while Elden Ring and Tekken 8 from the publisher is also rumored. He also goes into saying that he has heard that Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, that he feels is definitely happening. Now, he further claims that we should be getting it around the console's launch. So once again, the games lineup is starting to build up here with numerous rumored games, and you know Nintendo's going to bring the heat as well. Now, I do want to point out, and Nintendo Everything also points out, that his record has not been perfect. There's been some spotty things here and there, so obviously take it with a grain of salt right now. But I will say this, I did some more digging into this, and really just not even digging in, just more like common sense and looking at what's happened in the past. Yes, Bandai Namco and Nintendo have an incredible relationship. They've worked together on so many different games, from Pokken to even the biggest like Super Smash Brothers. And there's been a variety of ports that have came over, and specifically Dragon Ball Z ports on the Nintendo Switch 1. Plus, I want to go back to something that Bandai Namco said, that I think that they're not going to make the same mistake again when it comes to Nintendo's sequel here. So if you look at Bandai Namco and the Nintendo Switch 1, you have Dragon Ball FighterZ that came over, and that's a pretty good port on the Nintendo Switch. Then you also have Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 and 2 that came over to Nintendo Switch, and Dragon Ball Kakarot, which I didn't think would come over, considering the size, huge RPG for Xbox and PlayStation. I just thought they would just leave that alone, and that actually got a fairly decent port on the Nintendo Switch as well. So if they brought over all of those Dragon Ball Z games, and from all accounts, all of those Dragon Ball Z games did well, with Dragon Ball FighterZ selling well over 1 million units on the Nintendo Switch by itself. And of course, it did great overall on all platforms, but it did considerably well on the Nintendo Switch. Dragon Ball Xenoverse also did really well. I'm not sure where Kakarot landed in all of that, but I know that Bandai Namco was happy with their Dragon Ball Z sales on the Nintendo Switch platform, and of course it gives them the opportunity to sell all of their DLC that they sell anywhere that you are, as long as you have an internet connection. So they like that about the Nintendo Switch. It almost gives them a mobile anywhere to sell their stuff version of the game, because Bandai Namco loves to do stuff like that with their anime games. So I absolutely see Dragon Ball Sparking Zero probably coming over to the Nintendo Switch. And I also want to point this out. Back in the Nintendo Switch 1 era, Bandai Namco was not very high on the Nintendo Switch. They didn't think it was going to be anything crazy. They essentially were doing a wait and see. And after it blew up, and after they released Xenoverse to limited amounts of copies, there wasn't a lot of physical copies out there. It did so well that it sold out in Japan, but there wasn't that many. There was like 20,000, 30,000. And the president of Bandai Namco said they made a mistake, that they underestimated, and they wish they would have had more games ready to go because of the popularity, and they probably could have sold a lot more in those first years, 2017, 2018, 2019. Now, they ended up obviously porting over a ton of stuff over the course of the generation with the Nintendo Switch, but I don't think that they want to make that same mistake, especially coming off of the high from the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal trailer, 21 million plus views, and people just excited to get this, and the position that Xbox is in compared to how it was in 2017, and how Xbox was with the Xbox One and the Xbox Series coming out a number of years later, and how it is now with Game Pass and stuff. You need another major player in to sell your games going forward, not having to worry about Game Pass or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, it's awesome, but they definitely want to get their $60 or $70 or however much money straight up payments, and Nintendo Switch provided them with that on top of PC and PlayStation. So I absolutely think that this is going to happen, and Bandai Namco is not going to make that same mistake on not having things ready to go. So I would expect a number of Bandai Namco games, including Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, to come to the Nintendo Switch, and that adds to the huge list of rumored games like Final Fantasy VII Remake, Halo Master Chief Collection, Flight Simulator, Metal Gear Solid Delta, Ubisoft games such as Assassin's Creed Shadows, and more. So this lineup is getting insane very quickly, and I am loving it. But you know what else would be insane? If you guys keep on hitting that subscribe button, because we've been getting a surge of new people get us over 125,000 subscribers. I'd really appreciate it if you're enjoying the content, and hit that like button and click that notification bell to get my vids as soon as they drop. Now let's go ahead and jump into this next big thing here with the games, and this might be insane. We're gonna have a lot of Nintendo fans going crazy for this, but apparently Metroid Prime 4 is going to make an appearance at the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. Content creator and game developer interviewee Reese Kiwi Talks Riley has major connections to former and current Metroid Prime devs, and recently took to social media to mention that they expect Metroid Prime 4 Beyond to be at the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct on April 2nd. In fact, they're 90% certain it will be in the Direct. Check out what he had to say here. Quote, in less than a month in the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, you'll see that Nintendo and Retro were keeping their cards close to their chest with Metroid Prime 4 for this exact moment. The true unveiling will blow everything else in the Direct out of the water. Nintendo are constantly tweaking Directs right down to the last minute, but as of now, I am 90% certain it will be in the Direct. Now that just might be a little bit of bravado, and of course the huge Metroid fan in there, because this is gonna have Mario Kart. This is probably gonna have a big 3D Mario. There's gonna be other stuff that's going to be awesome here, but hey, I do think that Metroid Prime 4 is going to look incredible. Nintendo doesn't make many styles or art styles like that with that grittier type of tone. I mean, they have Bayonetta, that's made outside of their own studios overall. Retro, they do own, obviously outside of Nintendo in Japan and their developers, but Retro Studios as a first party subsidiary, they do own that. So I do think that yes, if we get an enhanced version of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond that's shown off, that's better than what we saw at the Nintendo Direct when they first revealed Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, which that game looked awesome. That game looked so good, especially running on that aging hardware of the Nintendo Switch. The fact that they can take that and make it even better, make it even sharper, cleaner. Oh my gosh, I am excited and ready to see that. And I figured this would be the case with their games that have not been released yet, but were announced for the Nintendo Switch 1. I still think that Pokemon Legends ZA has a chance for a native Nintendo Switch 2 version with some upgrades here and there, but Retro Studios, they are very technologically savvy overall, and they've added so many big players from various different AAA studios over the years that know how to do really high-end and nice graphics. So I do feel that with that extra help and what they've been able to do, Metroid Prime 4 could be tuned up, locked in, and loaded to go, enhanced for the Nintendo Switch 2 as potentially even a launch title. I think a 1-2 punch of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond with the Nintendo Switch 2 enhancement, in addition to a big brand new 3D Mario Kart. You cover the super core base and you cover the broader audience of Nintendo fans and casuals. It is a win-win scenario if you have those two games ready to go right there at launch for the Nintendo Switch 2, man. So I am hyped to see if this is going to happen. I think it will, because Nintendo has no reason that they haven't talked more about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond at this point, outside of, yeah, it's going to be Nintendo Switch 2 stuff. I mean, it would be super weird if they're waiting to talk about it, then all of a sudden in the Nintendo Switch 2 era, they say, okay, here's just this Switch 1 game that you can play. Yeah, you can play it on your Switch 2 backwards compatibility, but yeah, you don't get anything with that. It's like, that just seems weird, right? We still have to wait and see for Metroid Prime 2 and Metroid Prime 3. I doubt Nintendo would release Metroid Prime 4 without releasing Metroid Prime 2 and 3 ahead of it. So we'll probably get more details on how we can get our hands on those two games as well, if it comes in a double pack or some type of HD remaster or something like that. So very excited for Retro Studios and Nintendo for Metroid Prime 4, and that's ready to blow us away overall at that April 2nd Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, which is getting closer and closer every time I look at the calendar. Literally only 2 weeks away from the time that I'm recording this video, man. In 2 weeks, we are going to be upcoming on the week for the April 2nd Nintendo Direct, man. The countdown is on. But we are going to count down to some awesome tech that locks in exactly what everyone knows about the Nintendo Switch, but with some extra details that shows just exactly how Nintendo's planning on making a lot of improvements when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 that was a huge weakness for the Nintendo Switch 1. So we've got an updated Switch 2 patent showing the AI resolution upscaling, but this is an update to an already posted patent that I covered and many different other websites covered as well, and it adds new information regarding the AI resolution upscaling. Now remember guys, it's worth noting this isn't the controversial or the generative AI, this is the machine learning method for making a image that isn't a high quality image into a higher quality image. So resolution upscaling that isn't native. Now, this technology is probably going to be used in a wide array of Nintendo Switch 2 games based off of all the various patents that we've seen, and it could potentially even be used to enhance Nintendo Switch 1 games on the Nintendo Switch 2, and with that, it even takes some of the load and some of the stress off of the processor, so games could potentially even run better. Not only do they look better, but they also run better as well with this DLSS technology and AI upscaling. Now, this is the patent here that we're talking about. The render image, it even shows you 540p image, prepare image, input data, reorganize to the matrix, run the neural network, 1080p output data, reorganize the 1080p output data into a converted image, 1080p image, output converted image. So it's showing you exactly like along a snake pattern here from the start all the way through how it actually gets it done. So this is definitely a very good thing when it comes down to it, because one of the biggest weaknesses with the Nintendo Switch 1 was the low resolution of some of the biggest games, even Nintendo's first party titles or first party published titles having low resolution overall. A lot of developers had to do some creative things in order to get their games running in terms of downscaling things, but with this, it's definitely going to make some of these games look and perform better overall that the Nintendo Switch 1 just didn't have access to. So I'm excited to see exactly how all of this is going to play out, and Nintendo's version of DLSS compared to what we've seen with Nvidia and what they've done on PCs. Obviously, you're not going to get the highest end, most technologically advanced version of it because those are running on the biggest and best PCs and stuff, and there's a lot of different factors that go into it. But I do think that there's going to be some unique things specifically for Nintendo in the Switch 2 because of the custom chip and because of the time that they've taken to make this. That's going to make it very interesting to kind of break down and look back and see exactly how it's going to work in game and how much better it makes things. So this is definitely, like I said, very exciting, and once again locks in that Nintendo has some big plans when it comes to tech and features with the Nintendo Switch 2. But let's go ahead and move on to the final topic here, and I wanted to discuss Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster, maybe even a little bit of foreshadowing for a video that I have coming up. But yeah, Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster has now sold over 5 million copies. This is the classic collection of Final Fantasy 1 through 6 with some enhancements and some updates, some quality of life features, and it's fantastic. And this is old school, and it's not like it's super cheap overall. Like if you buy the whole thing together, it actually costs quite a bit, and people flocked to go buy that. Now, it's been a couple years since the game is out or anything, so it's not like they stacked all of that up in like the first number of months, but I still think it's doing better than maybe some thought it would do. Do people still want to play old school classic Final Fantasy? Well, yes, and I do think that all of this is going to play a part into the data of what Square Enix does next. I think that there's a couple different things that they're looking at, and like I said, I'm going to talk about this more, but they're probably looking at, yes, this, obviously Final Fantasy, Pixel Remaster, old school classic. People still want to buy it, and people are buying it at a premium price, especially those special editions, but also, I think they're going to take a look at the game Clair Obscur Expedition 33. That is a high-end AAA visual quality turn-based RPG with active elements like Paper Mario where you're blocking and you're also pressing buttons to do attacks when it comes to things, and you can even dodge and different stuff. But it is a turn-based RPG, so it has some nice real-time elements to it. Will that be the future of Final Fantasy? Will Final Fantasy say, okay, we're going to forego the action route that we went into, like the super hardcore action route that we went into with Final Fantasy 16, and of course the action RPG, more traditional action RPG route that we saw with Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So we'll have to wait and see on that, but I definitely think that they're taking a few cues here and there, but I'm happy for Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. It is a great collection. They took some time. When they first announced it, it was just PC and I think like smartphones or mobile or whatever or something like that, and people are like, what the heck, why not consoles? But we finally got it and it did really well. So I expect them to make some changes, especially with all the changes that have been going on at Square Enix recently. So what do you guys think about everything that we discussed here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this one here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch RPG videos and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.